Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Now, I've said this before, and I do mean it. I think that it's very possible that given enough time, XRP can supplant Bitcoin in terms of market cap and become number one out of the entire asset class in terms of market cap. Now, there's a ton to consider when developing one's opinion on this topic here. There are a lot of moving parts to all this. In part, it comes down to this idea, as far as Bitcoin's concerned anyway, that even if you're to take the position which many people have at this point, which is Bitcoin is not money, because technologically it can't be money with the existing infrastructure, even if you can get Lightning Network, the Layer 2 technology to work, okay. But if it's not money and it's just going to be a store of value, I don't see how something is going to, in perpetuity, be considered a store of value when it doesn't drive any actual value because it doesn't functionally do anything. To me, that's a concern. That's just my opinion on that. Would Bitcoin perhaps be number one in market cap and be the biggest and greatest in terms of price action forever purely because it's the first? Maybe, but I'm very skeptical of that opinion. So we're going to talk about this. There's an interesting Twitter thread I want to run through with this. Well, you'll see. There's some notable members of the XRP community involved in it. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button, I would definitely appreciate the support. And also, if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP and critical thinking, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel, because you're going to find a lot of that here. I do want to state very clearly, I am not a financial advisor. I do not have a financial background. I'm not pretending to be a professional in any capacity. I am simply an enthusiastic member of the XRP community that likes engaging with others within the community and making some YouTube videos. It's fun to think about this stuff. It's a fun interest, hobby, whatever you want to call it of mine. So don't buy or sell because of me. But look at this headline from CNBC dated December 30th, 2017. Now, at this point, I had only been in the world of crypto for like 6 weeks. About 6 weeks, and so I was still really learning. But I want to make clear how quickly things can change. Now, this piece from CNBC. They conflate Ripple and XRP. Ripple is a company, XRP is a decentralized cryptocurrency. But hell, we still have that in 2020. It's like crypto media still hasn't figured that out. But here's the headline: even they say Ripple, they mean XRP. Digital currency Ripple soars nearly 56%, becomes second largest cryptocurrency by market cap. And it's funny because I think at the time this piece was written, I think XRP's market cap got up to about, 112 billion. I think that's what it covered in this piece. So things can happen quickly. So I think it was 112. And then today it's at a little over 10 billion XRP market cap right now. So things certainly happen quickly here. And so I've just been thinking, what's this next rally going to look like? Is it possible that a cryptocurrency, perhaps XRP, could supplant Bitcoin? Would it happen sooner than later? And what would that actually look like? Well, even if you want to throw, because you could make the case, and I've talked about this too. I don't know how long it's going to take people to figure this whole asset class out, and until they do, I mean, it's less likely that Bitcoin would be supplanted. But there's actually a technological reason that we need to discuss that at least one XRP community member thinks could be a major hindrance in this upcoming bull run, which some say has already started here. So there's a tweet from Thinking Crypto. The guy, Thinking Crypto, he runs a YouTube channel. His name's Tony, and he's definitely very pro Ripple, pro XRP. His YouTube channel isn't explicitly about Ripple and XRP, but definitely very pro Ripple and XRP. And so he wrote the following, which led to an interesting discussion that I want to share with you. He wrote, in the next parabolic cycle, Bitcoin is expected to hit between $80,000 to $100,000, which means we will hit the current all-time high, $20,000, sooner than later. Prepare for massive FOMO to kick in once Bitcoin hits $20,000 again. This time around, there are more exchanges and on-ramps. That's a fair point. And I think it'd be weird if Bitcoin never got back up there. That'd be super weird to me. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not confident in Bitcoin's staying power. I've made my concerns clear, right? I'm not saying it's going away. I'm skeptical for, a big part of its technological reasons, right? But as far as what Tony's stating here, Thinking Crypto, about there being more on-ramps. Absolutely. So if you think about this, it's perhaps the case that the asset class, which got up to, what was the market cap for the asset class? I know today it's like 320 billion, but I think it got up to somewhere in the neighborhood of 850 billion in either late 2017, early 2018, when all this mania was going on here. And people have brought this up in the past, and I certainly think there's likely truth to it, which is there were on-ramps were out of, like, cryptocurrency exchanges were no longer accepting customers because they didn't have the infrastructure to onboard the new customers. So all this money that wanted to get in couldn't. It couldn't. And even with that being the case, you still had XRP get up to almost $4, and you had a Bitcoin get up to just shy of $20,000. But there's another technological reason that next time there's a major rally, it actually could be quite a problem for Bitcoin, as is illustrated just a few tweets down. So somebody named XRP, XR Prognosis, I guess maybe that's how it's intended to be stated, tagged Galgatron, who is a notable member of the XRP community. I'm a huge fan. And said, Galgatron, at the moment, Bitcoin consumes 0.28% of global energy output. If Bitcoin 10x to $100,000 in mining increases to meet the demand, will Bitcoin consume 2.5% of global energy output at those prices? Galgatron responded, more accurate to say that hash rate loosely follows price times the improvements in hash rate technology. If the price 10x's though, there probably wouldn't be enough hash power in the wild to saturate, so the mining rewards would grow considerably. Fair enough point. His next tweet, which immediately follows, was even more interesting. Check this out. This is what I really want to get at. He wrote, I'm extremely skeptical there's enough morons out there to take Bitcoin 10x again. So that would put it at roughly $100,000 if it did 10x. And Galgatron then writes, even tulips crashed at some point, and they actually have utility. With, of course, Tulip Mania being one of the most famous bubbles in history, when people were just outrageously valuing actual tulip bulbs. Completely ridiculous, but it's a real thing. You can look it up if you don't know about it. It is interesting. People are crazy sometimes. Somebody named XRP Sherpa jumped in and wrote, I agree with you on so much, but I wouldn't write any Bitcoin possibility off. The public isn't educated. And I've made that point, by the way. Like, the public, there's this frenzy around it. People are still trying to learn. New money comes in, and they're just like, hey, this crypto thing, woo, money. You know, for some, it's like that, right? And then XRP Sherpa wrote, the learning curve for crypto, the political entrenchment, read Maxis, still form a headwind. I hope I'm wrong. I expect anything is possible until XRP's use case takes over. And then Galgatron responded. Check this out. None of irrational exuberance of dumb investors will matter when the Bitcoin network hits the glass ceiling again and it takes days to make a payment and fees are greater than $50. This is what stopped the last run. This is what will stop all Bitcoin runs. Now, this will be fascinating because he could be right. I don't know. But think about that. If he is right, this asset class, given that Bitcoin's leading it, this asset class is going to have a hell of a time appreciate in terms of price action for a while, because people need to figure out, okay, so this isn't working. Is it actually the case that Bitcoin, because of how slow the network is going to impede this actual rally? Because I don't know. I mean, Galgatron could certainly be right that that's what stopped it, or maybe it was a factor in what stopped it last time. I don't know. There are chart analysts out there that actually accurately called it and said, okay, that's it. It popped. Like Peter Brandt, for instance, he called it, and people were calling him nuts, and oh my gosh, why are you saying this bad stuff about Bitcoin? And Peter Brandt was right. He called the top. And so maybe it was just going to peter off anyway. I don't know for sure. It's certainly possible this could be a factor, but do you think, because we're all in the XRP community here, but still, let's just, I'm not a maximalist of any coin. I just think that it's worth having a critical thinking exercise, and I think this makes for a fun discussion here, but what do you think on this? I mean, do you actually, because look, some of these people that are purchasing it, given that nobody's actually using Bitcoin as money, which means that the transaction speed matters less than it would if Bitcoin were actually being used in place of fiat currency, it would matter more. But he's absolutely right. It's going to slow down. I mean, I encountered, when I was new to crypto, transaction fees of $50, and then it would take days for a transaction to process. Now, for people that are constantly trading, yeah, that could be a major hindrance. But for people that, if it depends on how people are going to behave. If people jump in and they're throwing their money and they're like, oh, okay, and they just found out about this, maybe like, I'm going to hold it for 5 or 10 years. Well, for those people, this wouldn't be a hindrance, and maybe money keeps pouring in. And so it could be the case if people aren't going to take their money out that quickly, that it would only impede growth of a parabolic movement to some degree. But I don't know. Galvatron could certainly be right. I just don't know. I mean, I think it's a factor in how people are going to behave, unquestionably. I'm not completely convinced that that's what stopped the 2017 bull run for Bitcoin. Even if it was a factor, fair enough. I'm just not sure that was the nail in the coffin for it. But what would this look like? So if this happens, money could continue to flow into XRP, right? Money could certainly continue to flow into XRP unimpeded, because while Bitcoin can only handle on layer 1 technology 5 to 7 transactions per second, XRP can handle up to 1,500 transactions per second. So there's a couple ways that could go. If it were the case that this the growth of this parabolic movement were impeded and Bitcoin couldn't, like, people no longer wanted to throw money in because of how slow the network is, if that happens, would it be the case, given that Bitcoin does lead the market, that it would impact in a negative way not just Bitcoin but all cryptocurrencies? Or would it be the case that maybe some money would continue, maybe a lot of money would continue to flow into XRP and flow in successfully, and maybe it could keep running, maybe XRP would keep running if Bitcoin indeed stopped running in terms of price action, resulting in XRP taking the #1 spot in terms of market cap. Now, this is especially interesting given that I don't suppose, and again, not financial advice, but from what I've read from people that trade for a living and know how to read a damn chart, which I do not, and I don't want to learn, I have no interest in it, a lot of them are stating we're not far off. Whatever the time frame is, whether it's a month or half a year or a year, whatever it is, we're not far off from starting to see some major price action. If that comes to pass, we're going to get to play out this experiment sooner than later. Because if it's the case, if Galvatron's right here, that there's a glass ceiling, and that people are going to stop throwing in money because of these outrageously expensive fees, and because of how long it takes to transact on the Bitcoin blockchain, we'll find out. If there's a glass ceiling there, we'll see how XRP responds. It would be rather fascinating if the clunkiness of the Bitcoin blockchain were proven to be a major hindrance the next time it runs up in terms of price. And if XRP were able to take advantage of that and just keep rallying on past. Because here's the other interesting thing. If XRP starts to gain ground, people are going to notice, people in the know that watch this stuff, they're going to catch on. And just imagine, can you imagine the headlines of XRP? It would be in mainstream media. XRP supplanting Bitcoin in terms of market cap. What do you think is going to happen? It would be like crazy. It'd be like fireworks going off. Endless amounts, again, not financial advice. I'm just sharing with you a hypothetical and what I think might happen in this hypothetical. I could see a crazy amount of money flowing into XRP as a result of that. So it's interesting to think through. I mean, it's a problem, but then again, fees were creeping up for some time. And so that's why I think Galvatron is right that it's a factor. I'm not completely sold on it being what stopped the run. I mean, maybe he's right, but maybe it could creep up even further, maybe a lot further. But I mean, there'll come a point. I mean, it's like, can you imagine if you get to the point where almost every transaction is taking a month to go through? Like, what would it take to hit that point? Because I'm not kidding you, like, you're talking about days and days and days in some instances for some of these transactions to go through, unless you want to pay the miners more. So we'll see. But even outside of that, so that's potentially what hypothetically could occur in the short term. But even outside of that, if utility really does ultimately matter, I still am skeptical of Bitcoin having true longevity if it doesn't do anything. I mean, like I said, maybe just because it's the first and standards matter in life, I get that argument too. Maybe it would get to stick around, but if it's not driving any actual value, I think it's more like tulip mania. And so the reason it hasn't happened to this point is because it's very clear that there's something to this crypto asset class. As far as the long-term winners, though, we'll see. I don't know. Would love to hear what you think on this interesting topic, though. I think it really makes for a fun discussion here. But thank you very much for stopping by. I, again, am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!